to character, as a teacher is to ability. Maybe you'll help us expound on that later on in the dialogue. I'd like to welcome Mr. Anthony Katumwesje. I see you've joined, one of our panelists. Mr. Anthony Katumwesje, can you just, give us a brief, input of what we expect to hear today, what we expect to hear from you? What do you understand by career guidance? What's its impact? Just briefly introduce yourself and give us a little bit of expectation on the discussion we're going to have today. Mr. Anthony, if you could please
unmute.
Okay,
I can hear you. Thank you. Good afternoon, guys. I'm happy to be with you here. So allow me to disagree with you on many things on this. I want to give it a very different perspective. We are not going to keep using the same road and the same perspective. What is career guidance and what impact do we want it to achieve? Why don't we start by asking our questions? That's why I wanted to pose like a question to all the panelists to first analyze what career guidance means to them and what they think an ideal career guidance system for Uganda is and what is required, or where the failures are. Can we just start by that? Then what you should expect from me is opinions that are mainly based on my personal traits and putting my thoughts together. I've managed to come up with these things, and I know most of you most of them will be familiar with you. You'll just be having issues whereby, like, I thought about that thing, but I think it's just that I've never discussed it. So we are not going to discuss new concepts here. We're just going to discuss the same concepts, but now we are taking a different approach. And I don't want to waste a lot of time, but sorry, one more thing. Then I would encourage that when my time reaches, you can always intervene and ask if there's something I'm explaining and you don't understand.
Yeah, that's actually planned.
Yes, I would like to have it more of an engagement between many different opinions and me airing my opinion, because I'm not sure how you guys are receiving my information. So it would be helpful if you guys can react on time before I like continue when I'm presenting. Otherwise, thank you for the introduction. I'll let you be for now.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Anthony Katumwesje, for that. Is Mr. ISG Crispus on? If you are, please, could you unmute and give us a brief introduction, and then also give us an expectation of what we're to hear from you today before we proceed. I think Mr. Crispus is still experiencing some technical difficulties, but as we are waiting, let me go through today's topic and maybe just give you a brief of what to expect in terms of how to break it down, what we're going to discuss. So these are the Uganda Youth Dialogues. We have dialogues every other Friday, and we discuss about life issues. We discuss about topics concerning the youth, the country at large, the population. We tackle topics from livelihood, education. Generally, we are an umbrella of ideas, an umbrella of tickling minds about issues that concern their social, economic lives. So today's topic is career guidance and its impact on the future of school-going Ugandans. And a few questions were phrased to help us understand more on what that topic is about. And one is, does our current curriculum provide for career guidance? Let's say maybe you're a student. Are you given the proper career guidance once you're presented with the subjects? Is it purely about credits, or is it about passion, or is it about several other things that one ought to do, or one ought to pursue, one ought to look at before they choose a particular career as one they want to do or pursue for the rest of their life. And two, some subjects and courses are irrelevant. What's the validity of this statement? Several times we've had the president address. I remember one time we were at university and the president talked about this, I think about a particular course, was it development studies? And he said these are no longer necessary. And subsequently, the enrollment of this particular course in the university I was attending drastically dropped for the following intake. So I think that also needs to be tackled. A huge number of people in the formal sector are doing jobs whose description is far from what they pursued academically. I think this is even the biggest number considering the country we are living in. Is this a result of is this as a result of lack of proper career guidance? So that's the other question we are going to tackle. And four, some are inclined to passion, some ability, some paycheck. How can we ensure career guidance can serve best the interests of the citizens? So yeah, that is what we need to expect, or what we're looking forward to today as we get deep into today's topic. I'd like to welcome Mr. Muhumza John B. To the dialogue. Maybe could you briefly give us what you expect today? You are quite the informed fellow, quite the lover for dialogue and debate. Maybe if you could unmute and tell us maybe what you expect to hear from us today. I see one of the panelists as well has joined as I wait to bring them on.
Thank you very much, Warren, for the opportunity. What are my expectations towards today's dialogue? Yeah, my expectations we really need to understand the meaning of career guidance, because I feel for all the schools I have gone to, they have tried to tackle that area. They even bring a few people, but I feel they do not address that issue the way it is supposed to. It becomes unfair to call someone for career guidance and they are going to limit their scope in what they did. Because I have recently been interfacing with a few people who have just recently left university. It is disappointing to find that many of them just did those courses because they had to, and now many of them seem not to be happy with what they have studied. It becomes disappointing because I think who are listening to some of the debates that we've been having relating to school, spend a very big part of your time in school, and when you get done, the moment when you're supposed to enjoy the fruits of your labor, then you are not really sure if you're doing the right thing. So basically I think my expectations are to deeply discuss what career guidance is and then relate it to the current situation that we are having. Thank you so much.
All right, John Muhumuzabi, thank you for that input. I see one of our panelists, the other, has also come on, Mr. Zirawa Thompson. Could you be so kind as to introduce yourself and unmute and maybe tell us what to expect as I prepare to officially open such that we can begin the dialogue? Mr. Zirawa Thompson, are you there? Mr. Thompson. Well, I think he's also experiencing some technicalities. I don't know. Mr. Anthony Katumwesije, I'm going to have to open the meeting, open the discussion. Since this is usually an open discussion, it's not necessarily restricted to a few people. You were telling us today that you were going to kind of divert from what normally we look at as career guidance to be, or what normally we have a perception of for career guidance or in regards to career guidance. Could you tell us maybe in a few what exactly you mean by that, or what exactly you think of when you think of career guidance, or when you're talking about career guidance as opposed to popular belief or as opposed to popular opinion, since you said you are looking to divert or to differ from what we normally look at or what we normally think of when we think of career guidance or talk about career guidance?
So let me start like this. For everything I say that is right, we all agree that we agree on that, so that we proceed.
All right.
We're going to start with this, a simple thing. How many of you think that we believe this statement that most people in Uganda do not have careers? They have jobs, they have professions. Those are the lucky ones. Then the rest of them are just fighting.
In a sense, I agree with that statement, if you
Okay.
ask me.
So
to actually a large extent, a larger degree, about 80% of that statement,
okay,
I think is valid.
Let's set the metrics using that the current workforce of Uganda, there are more people who have jobs than people who have careers. You understand?
Yes, yes, of course.
So we agree on that. So now, I think we can clarify what has been termed as career guidance not to be career guidance. And Mr. Thompson is here. I would not want to go far. Let me first give Mr. Thompson a chance to introduce himself. Then I can continue hitting my points. Then he can disagree where he disagrees. And
yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Thompson. Would like to welcome you.
It's my pleasure. I'm Thompson Zeraba, a teacher by profession. I currently work with the Barra Modern Secondary School, and I'm so grateful to God for giving me this opportunity to be part of this important debate, and I'm ready to take on the show. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon to you. So, Mr. Thompson, according to you, what do you think of when it comes to career guidance? When you mentioned in your introduction that you are a head teacher by profession, what do you think? Does the current curriculum that you run maybe at Barra Modern Secondary School, like you mentioned that you had, do you think that curriculum provides for proper and appropriate career guidance in accordance to the environment that we live in as Ugandans or as school-going Ugandans? Do you think there's a proper provision for sufficient career guidance? According to you, what do you think?
Thank you very much, our moderator. First of all, career guidance is a very good counseling program because it helps our learners to choose the right career path based on educational and professional choices. Personally, I believe career guidance is very, very important and needed because it helps the students to make informed decisions about the academic path. It enables students to get prepared for a bright future. And when it comes to finding jobs, they find jobs related to their chosen career path. It is good in a way that it boosts self-esteem, makes one confident, and increases even the chances for success. So personally, I advocate for career guidance in institutions of learning, only that managers, administrators, and majority of them do not create time for it. I would appeal to all stakeholders in the learning institutions to consider career guidance as a major requirement, create time for it, and provide all the necessary remunerations. To the question, does our curriculum provide for career guidance? Personally, to a small extent, I would say yes, and to a bigger extent, I would say no. First of all, according to the Ministry of Education, institutions of learning are supposed to provide career guidance to the learners. One other role of a teacher in an institution or in a school is to give adequate career guidance to the learners. We also have parents who are supposed to play a very big role towards career guidance. But the ministry in its supervisory roles does not pay much attention towards or ensuring career guidance is adequately catered for. When it comes to parents, they have ignored it and left it for teachers. Institutions of learning do not provide adequate time and finances to this service, yet it is very, very important. When it comes to timetabling and making of term programs, it is not normally given a priority. So my appeal to fellow managers of institutions and all other stakeholders, career guidance should be adequately catered for, fully financed, to enable our learners benefit from the diverse benefits of career guidance. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I can continue, right?
Just
Yes.
a minute before you do, Mr. Anthony.
Okay.
I would like to hear from Mr. Ziraba Thompson. When you are providing, say, a curriculum or a roster for the subjects that are provided at Mbara Modern Secondary School, are some subjects, according to you, do you think there are some subjects that are irrelevant or some courses? Because I understand, or naturally, it ought to be that when someone pursues a particular subject, they are directing their minds or their entire activity towards pursuing a certain course, which subsequently leads to a certain career path. If we have leaders in government, say maybe the president was at some time Bar University of Science and Technology, and he was addressing, I think, a group of graduates on a particular graduation day, and he mentioned that some courses are irrelevant to the nation, or they do not hold as much weight to the nation. And he mentioned a particular course or a particular field, which was, I think, ethics and development studies. I think he expounded especially on development studies, which subsequently caused the enrollment of students at a university which I attended, that was Uganda Matters University, for the coming year to drastically drop. Do you think that that is valid information when it comes? Do you think that that is true of what he had said, that there's an irrelevancy, sort of, or an obsolescence attached to that particular field of studies?
Thank you very much, our moderator. Personally, I don't believe or I don't think that there are certain subjects or courses that are relevant or others irrelevant. Me, one, I believe the nature of the curriculum that we are following is the one that makes some subjects to appear irrelevant and others relevant. Because, for example, to someone who wishes or intends to become a doctor in the future, why need to first study history for 4 years? To that person, at the end of the day, will come and judge history as an irrelevant subject. To someone who wants to become, let's say, a musician, why study biology for 4 years? Later on, if this person becomes a musician, will stand to declare biology as an irrelevant subject. So I believe the nature of the curriculum is the one that is making some subjects to appear irrelevant. Otherwise, every subject has got its own capacity. Then we have lack of adequate career guidance in our institutions of learning, and this makes certain subjects appear irrelevant. And I can even add and say lack of specialization in our curriculum is also another serious issue that makes some of the subjects appear irrelevant while others appearing relevant. So, Mr. Moderator, in summary, my take on that is that all subjects are relevant. Every subject has its own capacity. There is a need to focus on the implementation of what one studies in his or her daily life. And this calls for the need for intensifying on the career guidance. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that orderly input. I'm actually admiring the way you articulate the things that you talk about. It's quite fascinating. Mr. Katumwesji Anton, I see you have an in-call query. You've raised your hand. I would like to pick your mind on what would you like to share with us according to what Mr. Zirava Thompson has just shared. Do you have some disagreements?
Yes. Let me disagree openly. So I think by the magnitude of our own judgments, we believe or we agree that there is no career guidance in Uganda. Because if career guidance cannot produce the people we need, then it is failing. It's not only that it's not producing the people we need. Even if we assume that it produces the people we need, even if the students take all steps within the career systems and guidance that they teach them at school, I still think that it is not reflected what happens out there. So let's take at the job market of Uganda. In the job market of Uganda, government only employs around 60,000 people, permanent jobs. That means every year we are releasing around 250 students into the society who are well educated. And you're still encouraging someone. Right now we have around 15 million kids in a wrong education system, which is the Ugandan education system, because there are no audits. You understand? Then it's also being looted. Like there's serious scamming in the education sector, especially the private sector. Ask yourself, yesterday I had this on the parliament, that it's cheaper to educate a kid at the university than educating a kid in high school. And why? Because now people look at education as a way of scamming. That's what I think. Because you cannot say you are paying all this amount of money for an education system that has produced a lot of people who are frustrated with it. Companies are frustrated with it. Companies come, they have to retrain people in Uganda to the needs they want. So if they want an accountant, they always have to run through the accountants through training so that the accountants get to the level. So what I'm saying is that we can agree why career guidance does not have any impact is because we don't have careers in Uganda. So we need something more of like mentorship. The reason why I'm saying that we don't have careers in Uganda is because what is a career and how many people in Uganda have careers? We have very small portion of people who have careers, maybe less than 10%. Other people are on jobs. They are surviving day by day. They're just doing jobs that they didn't train for. It doesn't matter whether they trained for it, but it's like that's not their profession. Then you have to also understand that it is difficult.
If I might tickle your mind before you proceed.
Yes.
You are stating that we have an education system that produces people that are doing the bare minimum, say for what they are, which field they've been put in. They do not necessarily pursue a career.
Yes. They don't have careers to pursue.
So what do you think, according to you, do you think it's the education system? Because I understand the kind of math that we study here. Say maybe I do calculus, I personally pursued financial mathematics at my university. Deep, intense mathematics. I don't think there's a besides the engineering fields that has that much mathematics. And these are things to do with stock markets, things to do with insurance, things to do with securities.
Yes.
Do you think maybe they are educating the wrong thing? Because I once had someone.
Actually, it's not that they are educating the wrong thing. They're educating the right humans, but they're educating them with the wrong methodologies. You understand? It's not that there's a problem with parents wanting to teach their kids or teachers doing their jobs. You understand?
Mr. Anthony, I'm going to, because I understand this is the kind of conversation you like, and I'm glad it's the kind of conversation you like.
Yeah.
I would like you to specifically point out
a
particular field, say engineering, say social sciences, say medicine.
Yes.
You can say, okay, let's say medicine.
Yes.
Do you think it's the issue of modern medicine that we're facing here, that maybe our systems are obsolete, the things that we're teaching are not exactly as updated according to world systems? Do you think we need to change?
That is right.
An issue of financing? Is it an issue of corruption? Is it an issue of half-baked lecturers trying to teach world-class doctors?
No. Okay, let me lay it out the best way I can. So, look, the reason why the education system of Uganda will never work, especially for an ordinary Ugandan, is because I've already explained it. First of all, you need to go through these stages as a kid to be an active member, very important member of society, from primary, secondary, from secondary to university. Now, the problem is that the private sector runs all these institutions unchecked. You understand? No one knows what they teach. Everyone, most of them, they just send like this ministry just sends people to just come in and see what they teach. But they do not have what they call a unified education system, curriculum. That means someone in Gombe is not going to teach the same as someone in Mbarara High School. That's why everyone is running to Mbarara High School, because maybe they believe that these guys, their teachers are good and all of that. Okay, that's not the problem. They should be all teaching the same thing. We cannot disagree on subjects because there are subjects that are important and subjects maybe it all depends on interests. But let's see what a career guidance should do. Career guidance should be able to produce people who are aiming to live in the right way, and people who are active members of society and can be able to be tracked. Career guidance should be able to track its progress. But how many can ever say, come up and be like, I was in career guidance and that's why I'm here? There are very few of us who can do that. Most of us, or most of you guys, what you have to do is that you have to battle all these decisions alone. And the problem is not about the decisions. The problem is how to prioritize the decision-making process on your side. So what I'm trying to mean on this side is that, okay, You are saying that someone studied math and they shouldn't have studied math, or because it's waste time. No, it is important because it helps you to, these are skills you will never lose. I am a person who loves people getting educated very much. But what I cannot allow is that we are all seeing that we have a very difficult future, and we're saying that we have career guidance, which career guidance we cannot measure any impact it has, you understand, on the education system and on the products within the Ugandan workforce. So let us look at this. Let me try to propose something. What I propose as career guidance to me is on how individuals respond to many situations in life, because either way, whichever career you go to, you need to know that you have aspects that are going to be judged. They are going to judge you by your ambition. They're going to judge you by your faith in terms of how you pursue your stuff. They're going to judge you by your personality. They're going to judge you by trust. They're going to judge you by compassion. You understand? These are the things that people judge each other, whether at work, whether not at work. So now, if you are to mentor someone to be a good citizen or a good person, a good product of the school, these are the things you should look at. Help your people to nurture their ambition, because ambition is what controls interest into self-development. So there are people who are very ambitious in finances, you understand? If you hold that person who's ambitious and very passionate about finance, and you put them in the right direction of studying finance, becoming the best financial, giving them the best financial mentors that help them to navigate all the troubles they go through, they would not lose the dream. That's why we reach at senior 4 and senior 6. People at the university only want whatever course they can get. You understand? There reaches a time whereby people, they're like, oh, I want to be an engineer, but I don't have the points for an engineer. Okay, let me go to procurement. You understand? So he's going to procurement, not because that's what he's passionate about, because that's what he can get. You understand? So it's not that even there's like a procurement body that has been tracking kids in high school and presenting their professional, because we have a very big procurement body in Uganda. But such bodies should be able to organize and should be able to keep track of records of the students they are trying to mentor. So we cannot say that we have career guidance that cannot be able to produce and evaluate products. So for all this time, what I'm saying is that Uganda, the biggest problem is that even people cannot analyze their own economy. The problem is that now in the whole world, 90% of countries utilize what they call online education. Most countries that are well advanced and advancing at a high level, they are doing what they call high internet education. You understand? And that's where even how students get a lot of information. That's why.
If I could briefly interrupt you, I'd like to ask Mr. Ziraba to mute his microphone. We're getting a lot of feedback from it.
Okay, so what I wanted to say is that now you have an education system that limits that they do not know, because we have a whole ICT body, you understand, Ministry of ICT, and we still have people in Uganda debating why they should remove the tax on internet, you understand? So you make the costs of internet high. Then when you make the cost of internet high, that means people will not get updated information, so they are going to remain at the same level of ignorance. 90% of professionals learn through internet. So that you cannot tell me that you have a career guidance and you have someone in ICT who went through career guidance and knows the importance of such office that he has, and still is a person who's hiking the prices of internet. We have been funding the ICT ministry for long, that it's going to provide free internet in education systems, like in schools and in universities. They don't do that. And then we don't know even how to audit the failures of Ministry of Education and other ministries. We have the member of parliaments, whereby people are just buying each other by you understand, by just paying money and getting voted. You have the police force, you understand? All these people are products of the education system and they have careers and they are miserably failing, you understand? Then you cannot tell me that there's any career you are building. There's no one who has a career, what I would argue, in Uganda. Most of the people are just like mechanics, like they're just brought in because they have a small clue about this. The people whom I can never disrespect are teachers, you understand? If you tell me that they pay teachers well, and then they put them on a stringent performance review, I will agree. Increase their salaries, but also audit them. Make sure that they teach the right things. You understand? So on the narrative of career guidance and its impact of Uganda, I'm going to say we don't have career guidance in Uganda. And you can ask me many questions about that. If you can shoot whatever you want to shoot, I will answer you very well. And now imagine this, we are all having a headache because everyone is crying, no jobs. The market the economy is difficult. And and you still have people in the ministries, like the Ministry of Energy. I was wondering why people like that, like, you know, they make decisions and they're like, oh, career offices and all of that. Why should the Ministry of Education be increasing investments in renewable energies, yet they are more expensive and they are low on energy density? You understand? So the amount of money that is going to be paid to generate the same megawatt hour of energy is going to be 4 times or even 8 times much more than the amount of energy that can be generated using other means. Like we can have other electrical generation means. And then you have the ministry who's following an agenda set within European Union, because it works for the European Union Commission, and bringing it in Uganda. Uganda has an energy deficiency. Only energy covers 22% of Uganda. That means the rest of the 78% of Ugandans they don't have electricity. You should be arguing for nuclear now. You should be able to have a nuclear body and a nuclear lab in these universities right now, studying on, because you should be able to project that in the near future, the energy demand in Uganda is going to be high. Therefore, if you do not be able to plan these things, knowing that you need modern urban transportation systems, but they don't know. Everyone is like, when they say about upgrading transport systems in Uganda, everyone thinks about bypasses. No, they are modern transport systems like underground trains, whereby government doesn't even need to compensate anyone. You understand? So these things are not brought up, because even when you go to the Ministry of Transport or Ministry, I've forgotten which ministry is that one that Katumba leads, I don't know. So when you go to that ministry as well, look at the heads, you understand? So if you want to know that it has failed you, look at how many people are flying out of Uganda. So a Ugandan youth has to get a degree to go in Saudi Arabia and work as a maid, you understand? And work as a security guard. A degree. Parents are selling their land and everything to send their kids to school with the hope that they will be better. But all they see is kids being sent to modern slavery. Then you also ask that question, career guidance and its impact in Uganda. No, there's no career guidance. Career guidance should have already detected this. We should have professional bodies who can be mentors of kids in these lower institutions. You understand? So there are a lot of things that we need to audit. You understand? But if you are saying we have a career, or we have careers in Uganda, I don't agree with you. And there are many reasons. I can go on for long, but I would want to have opinions from people.
All right. All right.
And stop.
All right, Mr. Anthony, I saw a few hands raised. I think Mr. Tumuhimbi Sujoab raised his hand first. Before I get to that, so your argument was nurture ambition. Then you won't have to worry about you won't have to worry about
to be to have faith in yourself. That is like where you elevate what they call self-confidence and all of that. Then understand the personality traits of people, you understand? Because you'll find like people who their temperaments differ, and their jobs that really depend highly on your personality. let's give an example of marketing. Marketing, if you are a person who's non-social, it becomes very difficult to market. Then you also need to understand what they call trust. That is what they call building resilience within kids. So as a career teacher, what you should teach students is how to make proper decisions and how to understand that the world is changing in many ways. But the best thing to know is that they have to be prepared, well prepared, that to the extent that whatever that comes their way, they shouldn't battle it complaining and whining about life, that life is difficult. No, they should know that life is difficult by default, not for themselves, but for everyone around them. They should not look at themselves as victims, you understand? So the problem that we have is that we have an education system that is trying to put, teaching kids that they are victims, and you understand, by feeding them many stupid notions of like rights and all of that and all of, okay, that's, you can do that, but the issue is that look at where it has gotten us, you understand? If you don't know, if you don't think that corruption is a problem, look at where we are. Look at the airport. You understand? All these things are happening, but no one knows why they're happening. They're happening like this because we have a wrong education system. You understand? Everything I'm telling you is because of a wrong education system. Ask yourself, who,
Okay,
a police officer on the road, you understand?
Yes.
What he thinks about is one thing, my family. Okay. Then your family, yes, okay. Then he does that to everyone. But the person whom they are taking money from is also struggling with the boss at work to give him a raise on the salary. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to pay school fees. So who are you going to blame? Yet he did the right thing, went to the university, went to school, paid for kids, and still became an accountant, and still is an accountant, and still went and is working still, but he's not getting any amount of money. He's struggling, you understand? So you cannot tell me that that person can think of himself as a person who has a career. That is a person who has a job, who's surviving. That is like, I really don't know even what to say on this, but we don't have careers in Uganda. We need to understand that we can never have careers unless professional bodies are working with the market to understand the needs of the market, then be able to orient and prepare students to be able to fill those needs in the market. That's what I...
Okay,
yes.
Before I allow these people that have raised their hands to share their thoughts, I'd like to read some in-call messages that we received. Mr. Katunji Eric says, to me, career guidance is a process by which a student's distinctive talents and passions can be identified and evolved. How natural or physical capacities can be developed and how the environment can benefit from the newly formed productive identity. Someone else, Mr. Muhumza John, I believe the education system should go beyond just teaching subjects and allow children and students to explore and improve their talents and skills. Also, the educators and mentors should drop the notion of professional courses such as law and medicine to be the measure of success. Wow, that's a very, very, very good point. Success should also not be measured externally, but internally. Cars, houses, and social media presence can't be the measure of success.
But yes, I agree with them. You understand? I agree with them. I agree with most of them. But the problem that they have to understand is that we are in a society, and if you are to clean up society, you start with what I told you the previous weeks, individual responsibility. Then I'm not going to go into that today, because if I want to improve my community, I start by myself. You understand? I start by myself. I start, like, if I'm not passionate enough and compassionate enough to meet people, I will start by doing that. But it is very difficult for me to have my own house in like a mess and go out and start like reorganizing the world. You understand? So the attributes that I still think that career guidance misses is one thing. Why are we sent to school? You understand? We're not sent to school to look for jobs, or, you understand? We are sent to school to do very few things. And that's where our measure of success should be. First of all, we are sent to school to learn how to speak. You understand? Then second, we are sent to school to learn how to read. Then if you learn how to speak and learn how to read, because that's what contributes to your thinking process. So you are learning how to think. So after that, then you might ask me that why? Because there's no way you can be a superpower in whatever you are doing without being articulate in the way in the words you select. And let's assume,
if I might interrupt you, just maybe to add something there.
Yes.
I think that very, I don't think people actually, in my opinion anyway, I don't think people understand the gravity of the point you just made. The ability to articulate,
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
The ability to articulate what is on your mind. Because you see, whichever profession you look at, be it a musician or an artist, in a way, they excel in what they do. We have people that are famous maybe on these social media platforms. Someone that is able to articulate the humor that is within him. It's the articulation bit. And our education system kind of is stereotypical in my opinion, that is stereotypical.
No. Actually, it's not that it is stereotypical. It is like a bandit of thugs. Let me tell you why. Because now, when you go
Isn't that too hard?
Yes, too hard because I'm going to tell you why. I believe it is a bandit of thugs. Because I look at someone from my village in Kachizi, in Intungamo. You understand? To be able to afford, let's say, 3 million per month. If that guy or that family together, they cannot make an annual income of 5 million. You understand? So then you have government institutions who are poorly paying teachers, and yet, okay, well, let's not even audit what the teachers are teaching, but also still carrying the teachers who are teaching the colonial mentality of what is this, you reply this and this, cramming. No. Now, what you need, if you are to transform a country, you need well-educated and articulate people. And how do you get them? You get them used to reading a lot. You get them used to learning how to speak, because reading is how you work on your mental state. You understand? Then you cannot articulate something you don't know. And how do you get to know something? You read about it. You learn about it.
Mr. Anton, I'm going to ask you to allow me to open the floor to the viewers, because I see there are very many hungry people wanting to participate.
Whoever wants to say something,
please, if you have a query, if you have an input that maybe you'd like to share with us, there's a hand on your screen. You can just tap it. Maybe I will single you out, and maybe you can unmute and tell us what you think. I will start with you, Mr. Tumuhimbi Sejob. You raised a hand earlier. I would like to know what you think on today's topic and maybe the query that you have.
Yes, thank you. I would like to, currently I could support the thing of ambition, but then the biggest thing is to first understand the country's desire. What is the education system intended to do? What we recently saw Vision 2040. What do we want to achieve by Vision 2040? Then if there is a proper plan, then you understand the relevancy of the existing education system and the content. And so it is not the issue of having someone, it is, I wouldn't see council guidance as someone to give you, to encourage you that, yes, if I want to be a photographer, then I have to look for someone who believes in my dream and keep on saying that, yes, you can achieve it, but rather than understanding as an economy, what are these people supposed to tell students to study? What are they supposed to encourage them? Like, do we have a blueprint? Do we have like an association where people are qualified to give clear guidance to the students? Or anyone can come up? There are people who are actually making money. Me, I just want to do counseling in schools, and you just earn from moving from this school to this school without having an idea. So I think the first thing is understanding as a country, where do we want to go? Then from that, we come up with clear guidelines on what to tell to inform the children. But then I wouldn't believe in individualism and the idea that interests should be above the nation, as a country would also want to see all of us develop together as a nation. Yes, that's what I wanted to raise.
So,
Mr.
according to Joab, we have to have an end in mind. According to Mr. Tumuhimbise Joab, the end in mind, I think collectively is what he's talking about. An end in mind in trying to guide people. Because I read something somewhere, it was talking about how, as Africa, the square miles in millions we have of arable land don't exist anywhere in the world. We have a lot of land, and yet we are not capitalizing on agriculture. So our reality is we could actually be the best agriculturalists out there, produce the most, but you find America collectively is producing more crop, almost more than Africa combined. So these are the things that are tickling the young minds or the minds of youth today. Are we expressing reality in our interests? Are we pursuing things that are real? We are trying to push people more to the engineering sector, the sector of doctors. But if you're to look around, we don't have top engineers. We don't have engineers that can compete worldwide. If they are secluded and they are shipped off from wherever they study from, and they do not come back to offer any kind of help. Someone else, maybe if you could not jot that down, Mr. Anthony, and maybe the other moderator. I'd like to also take a reminder.
Like now, like that point, because I might forget it. I don't know.
All right, but please be cautious, because I'd like.
So, Mr. Tumuhimbise said, okay, he's right. Yeah, he's right. So, I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is it's not that it's about individualism only. No, the state is made up of individuals. Now, if the individuals are or are operating on a wrong mentality, then that's what you get. These are the problems you get. You get corruption, you get people abdicating their responsibilities. And all of them, they do not understand that to get a to get a career, it is something that takes a long time. It's something that you pursue, and it is something that is painful to achieve. And and for the mentality that we are putting the Ugandans in, is that career guidance is that, oh, after you finish school, you'll get a job. No, tell the kid that you're going to battle life, but all I need is that if you're well articulate in how you argue your points, in how you do what, life will not be as difficult as it should be. Because when you are a leader, when you are a superpower in what you say, and you know what you say, and you do what you're supposed to do, what I'm telling you, everyone will want to be your friend. And that's how government starts producing and doing well for its people. But you cannot say that government should not focus on individuals, because the individual shouldn't be beyond the government. No, it's always that government, if it raises the right individuals, then it also gets stronger. It's not the other way around. Government cannot get stronger when it has individuals who are not well educated, individuals who are only about themselves. That's what you have right now. What you're saying about yourself, like it shouldn't be about. Now it's about the capitalism that we have is about me and my family, for God and my stomach, nothing else. You understand? So what I'm saying is that by the definitions of your own system of career guidance, you have failed to produce careers. You're only producing people who are hunting for jobs and survival. That's why you have this rampant corruption and everything in Uganda. Exactly. It's simple as that. No career guidance in Uganda. It's not there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that. Mr. Katunji Eric, you had raised your hand. Could you please give us your input?
Yeah. I'd like to say thank you to the panelists. I have one question for each. To Mr. Ziraba Thompson, the educator in the house, I would love to understand, the Education Act has never been reviewed ever since the year 1963. That is the same paper by which only a few reforms have been made, including the few changes on the syllabus. There have been reforms, but every educator now in the country knows that there is need for a transformation. If you had control over the Ministry of Education and the National Curriculum Development Center, how big is the job? How big is the job to make the necessary reviews? To put an education system that can make Uganda competitive? And maybe you share more light on maybe what you've thought about that. My question to the other panelist, Mr. Anthony, I would like to understand, you have been talking about educating for the right thing. However, we well know that we have not even yet defined who the competitive Ugandan is, that productive identity. The Chinese have defined their identity, the Germans have defined their identity, the Americans have know their identity. But when you say educate for the right thing, where do we start? Where is it working? Can you please shed more light on that? And being that we have not yet even you well know we lost that African identity. We don't know what sort of is the real civilization. So that is my question to you, Mr. Anthony. Those are the two questions I had for the panelists.
I think we'll start with Mr. Thompson.
Thank you very much, our moderator. I would like to respond in this way, that whether there is a review in the education or not, if you are not reviewing the curriculum that is your own, then you don't expect any positive change. Because like as the speaker was saying, that other countries gotten their own identities. Uganda, we don't have an identity. We don't have an education system that defines Uganda. Since independence, we have been using a curriculum borrowed from our colonial master, and it is of recent, by the way, 2 years ago, when we shifted from the old curriculum to the new curriculum, but also that new curriculum is not of our own making or design. We are copying it from China because of reasons well known to the government. So it is not until Uganda will have a curriculum of its own that you'll expect those changes. Whether there are reviews or changes in the education system or not, as long as we are not having our own education system and we are we are on borrowed education system, don't expect anything good to come out of the education system. And I also agree with one of the speakers, admittedly, let us not look at career guidance as the problem. Let's look at the curriculum. The curriculum, we are using a borrowed one. And what do you expect? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zerova Thompson.
Yeah, part B of the question, what are the steps? What reviews? Yeah, okay, give us some hope. I want some hope from the educator. Yeah, with what is going on in the world right now, with the risk that as Africans, for being at the bottom, we gave up control to determine how the world is working. Now, other countries with their strategies have set precedents on how the world operates. So how big is the task as an educator? Yeah. How big is the task to make the necessary transformation, not just mere reforms?
Mr. Thompson, I hope the question was clear to you.
The question is yours, Mr. Thompson.
Okay, what I can say is that the curriculum that we have been following, government realized that it had problems, and of recent, it has shifted to a new curriculum that it is called a competence-based curriculum, which is actually now 2 years yet to produce the first graduates. So I would appeal that we also give it a chance, we see, and we shall be able to compare the new curriculum that we have just adopted, its graduates, whether they will be completely different from the graduates of the old curriculum where you and I belong. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Anton, I think now the floor is yours to answer the question that was raised by Mr. Katunji Eric. Then maybe I can go back to the queries. I see Ms. Maureen Kahima has raised a hand.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Eric. Eric, let me tell you, your question is, where do we start? Where do we start on as Uganda? Let me tell you something. COVID-19 was the biggest opportunity we had to change the curriculum of Uganda, because changing a curriculum means you have to also re-educate your teachers. During COVID-19, students have been home, or they were home for approximately 1.5 years. And that was the time when that ministry, Uganda Curriculum Board, was trying to introduce that new curriculum. And my one question was, why didn't all the teachers get re-educated during that time? You understand? So that was, you see, by our own means of strategizing to change the education sector, we are also like grappling. We don't have professionals to lead us in the stages of transforming the education system. We know countries like Rwanda have done it in a short period of time, like 10 years, when they're changing from the Francophone system to an English-based system. So in Uganda, if you're telling me you're going to teach Chinese or a Chinese-based system, the question that I have for you is that you start by the metrics of measuring the output. You understand? What makes you think that of all the systems that you are able, or you should be able to adapt for the Ugandan kids, is the Chinese system? Why? You understand? So there are a lot of questions to be asked on that. Well, I wouldn't say that it is bad, but it is a good start. Then the next start, what I would say, like, we are on a good start, but the problem is that we are not implementing it. So you cannot say that teachers in Uganda are going to teach as well as they can to be able to benchmark a Chinese system, yet you've not educated them and you've not taken them for refresher courses. There should be government entities that are teaching, because now you should have permanent entities that are retraining teachers. You understand? For every new policy that you are bringing, you should have permanent bodies that are paid by government to re-educate teachers. You understand? I don't know whether you understand. If there's, because I've always asked, like, why did the culture, we had Mr. Thompson, if I'm to remember very well, I'm very sure that most of us experience these competitions within culture, culture dances and all of that. Why did that get scrapped off? Whereby many schools used to send kids in these areas to compete in folk songs, culture. You know, I don't know, Warren, whether you experienced it, or Eric. But me, when I was in primary,
a very competitive fellow in that. I was
yes, exactly. Do you know the amount of talent? Do you know the amount of talent Uganda was producing from that? You understand? There's a lot of, you cannot talk about career and you're saying you are acknowledging musicians as people with a career, and then you destroy MDD in schools, because now students do not know to articulate themselves, they don't know how to sing, they don't know how to present, and still you want them as proper students of Uganda. Okay, let me give you a scenario. Well, in Uganda, one of the biggest, I might give wrongs on every other sector, but in terms of the education system, but the best thing that has happened to the Ugandan education system has been nursing. You understand? If you are to look to countries like Philippines, Philippines is a middle state income, because in the World War I and World War II, all nurses, most of them were coming from Philippines. So now the Philippines created a nursing body that is controlled by the nation. So it was like a national nursing and training body. So it means before they would export labor, they would export, they would not export as what we're exporting unskilled labor. They would export skilled labor. So if we as Ugandan have acknowledged that what we do is go out of our countries and get educated, or maybe to look for money, then we need to also have bodies that are exporting professional labor. We are not going to export what we are doing right now. A kid with whoever fails or feels like he cannot make it in Uganda, I'm on Dubai. You understand? I'm getting a plane to Dubai. When you go to Dubai, you have a degree. No one cares about what you studied. You are an askari, or you are a cleaner, or whatever you be. But the main point is that why can't we capitalize on those sectors that we see that are very hands-on, like nursing? Because what I know is that between the year 2012, because that's when nursing started, like the second year, and 2018, we have very good reports, because otherwise the government hospitals would have failed. It's only because of these nursing schools. And now we are again bringing in the capitalist mentality and allowing the private sector to start spoiling the institution of medicine, like through nursing. In the UK, I've had a chance to meet people who admire Ugandan nurses. The Ugandan nurses are teaching practitioners in UK, exchange students, to do stuff like to administer medicine, to prescribe medicine. These things, that means our nursing entity in Uganda gives people a lot of skills, hands-on experience. Then why don't we work with countries that need this labor and create a professional nursing body? Okay, that is there. That's one of the things I'm telling you. So that means if you have a career guidance for nurses, well established and well articulate nurses will come to schools and will be able to tell kids, why should you be a nurse, and how easy is it, or how difficult it is it? Then everyone will be able to admire what nurses do. Imagine people are going out, let's assume that people are going out to just do nursing work, not doing the Nkubache work of being Dubai and whatever. You understand? So do you think we would be unproud and unhappy of our country? Do you know how much a nurse gets paid? I don't think even a member of parliament knows can out earn a well-settled nurse in these countries that need them. So all I'm saying is that our strategy is still lacking, because first of all, I said at the center of each education system now is ICT. You have a whole ministry of ICT that is being allocated money, and they have no accountability for it. There's no internet. The taxes are high.
For it, they will regulate the things you post, and
no, I mean,
over the top
well,
is on you.
That's not the role of ICT. The role of ICT is not to regulate how people interact. The role of ICT is as simple as to make sure that people have quick intercommunication systems. You understand? So people cannot challenge them because they don't know. You understand? But the main point is that you have to know the role of ICT. Otherwise, it is useless. It is like there to purge people in Uganda. Its role is not to regulate how people communicate. Its role is to make sure that entities of communication are well serviced and the internet is fast. And because we have many schools and many young kids, and we know most professionals now need internet, so it should be that. But now no one can audit the government. No one can audit them because everyone is abdicating their responsibility. The police officer, I'm hungry, they've not paid me. Oh, the ICT, oh, we are launching a satellite, and the satellite they launch, there's no way we are seeing its use. Then you are saying we need sciences. Okay, how many inter-university competitions have you seen? At this age, you should be able to have Chambogo, Makerere, UCU compete on academic levels in terms of innovations and all of that. You cannot universities, all you have these vice chancellors just swindling money for nothing. You understand? There's no accountability. So That's what I'm saying. There's no way you can tell me that you're going to implement a
All right,
Chinese system in this
Mr.
system that is
Anton,
very
you're going to have to allow me to interrupt you. Your impassioned input is seemingly very mind triggering. I would like to thank you for that input. Please allow Madame Maureen Kahima to give us her input. Madame Maureen Kahima, if you could also kind of.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes, I thank you for letting me in, and I just want to give a few remarks. One, I agree with everything that is being said, that our education system has not acknowledged the changing trends, because there's a lot that we, even us who are beneficiaries of the old curriculum, there's a lot that we see that is changing, and we are not embracing that. And the education system is indeed not embracing that. The new curriculum, we are yet to assess if it will yield results, because as I think the current beneficiaries of that curriculum are now in senior 3. So we are yet to see the products of that curriculum before we can make comments and critique the curriculum and see. Another thing I see is that the curriculum or the current generation of young people does not read. We have a culture of not reading, and it gets challenging. Even us who are interacting with them at higher levels, it's a big challenge. So we need an overhaul indeed of the whole education system, right from primary, in order for people to get out when they are ready to face the world. And I also agree that there is no proper career guidance, because the career guidance you cannot, if I'm studying, let's say, literature and entrepreneurship, what career is there? Because the job market is very elusive, or it changes. What was on market 2 years ago is probably no longer a marketable career for young people to pursue. So despite all this, I still feel that having an education is indeed correct. And we also need to embrace that if I'm studying and I'm able to finish what I'm studying, then that's a plus on me, because it means I can be trained to pursue something different. I can be trained to craft a career even after training. Not that the years I've been at university have been wasted, but when somebody is able to study consistently and graduate, it communicates that that person can consistently go on a task and complete it. So if they get additional training, so maybe employers need also to come out and say, yes, we are getting these many graduates. How many are willing to train maybe for a month and see who can adapt, who can adjust and pursue a career? So careers are changing a lot, but there are consistent things that we see. For instance, now without computer skills, you may not seriously work, you may not perform. So we need to be mindful that we are still in these old curricula, especially at the institutions of higher learning, and we are not about to go away from them. But what can we encourage young people to do as they get out to pursue their dreams, to pursue their passions? But we also need to allow them complete whatever programs they've set themselves to do, because we've been through these, we've been through the same education system, but somehow we've grown, we've carved, we've crafted careers, and we are moving on. So the career path currently is not very well defined. So the career, I feel sorry for the career guidance teachers, because they don't know even what is on the market and how to encourage people. But nevertheless, we can still start from where the person has reached, because we have a number of NGOs, they also have their own agendas. So somebody cannot study to work in an NGO world, because the NGOs are also changing curriculum. They are changing programs, activities, depending on what is selling at the moment. So it's very, very confusing, I can say, for young people to seriously map out a career path and follow it, because the changes are, it's very difficult to cope with the changing trends of the world. It's very hard. So we also need to sympathize. I don't want to comment about government, because that is government. They can do whatever they want. But when these young people come to us, how best can we assist them? How best can we help them to begin from where they've reached and have a better future out there? I thank you so much. And I think in a short while, I'll be leaving the meeting. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Yes, thank you to Ms. Maureen Kahima for that input from a professional point of view. I think it's important that sometimes we keep on incorporating, because she is an educator at the university level, a leader. And I personally believe or think that it's quite unfortunate for a country like Uganda. Someone mentioned an absence of programs like music, dance, and drama. We, because of our kind of locked thinking, in my own opinion, we restrict ourselves to a particular set of following a particular way, or a particular career, or a particular field of study, and highlighting it as important or as superior in comparison to other fields. I could give an example. When I was growing up, in my primary school, I was very good in almost everything I did. You take me to music, I was the top. You take me to mathematics, I was the top. You take me to science, I was the top. You take me to, I remember even being so good in sports in my primary. And so I think if I had access to a proper career-oriented curriculum, I think that would have built me in a particular sense. And that would have also pushed me to not just pursue curriculum-based things, but also to expound on co-curricular activities, which subsequently I've known people that have gone to school I went to school with a particular gentleman who was good at art, and I used to be as good as him, or even better. And I can look at the amount of money that he has made from simply pursuing art. Just drawing pictures. You call a minister, draw his picture, you go and you get an envelope. And he has built something from that. He has built something which, for example, now for us who are in the finance sector or accounting sector, you are constantly pursuing qualifications. You do not get substantial mileage for the things that you have studied for in the working force, or in the workforce, or in the field of implementing that which you studied for. The only thing they tell you, go back to school, go back to school, go back to school. But substantial mileage in what you have studied is not necessarily visible. So I think this is a challenge that we ought to look at. When someone just pursues something like art and draws things, and he's intentional about it, he's passionate about it, he's consistent with it, you find that he's reaping much more than what most of us are trying to do. They will tell you, no, go back to school. Okay, I'm pursuing a CPA. You go fail a few papers, you're like, no, let me drop that. Let me go for a master's. Or maybe I put that on hold. Let me go for a master's. You pursue it, then you find out that there's 100,000 more people also doing that. No, now I'm going to pursue a doctorate. I remember a certain university was asked by the National Council for Higher Education to submit the dissertations after, I think they were graduating over 80 PhD students at once. And the National Council of Higher Education was very skeptical about that. So they asked that they submit all the PhDs, dissertations, and their research that they had done, to review them and see, are these competent doctorate holders that we are attempting to graduate? It's a private university. So I think there's an issue where we are also looking at qualifications so much in terms of paper, and we're not looking at the competence of the individual. Yes, we are nearing the close of the meeting. Please, through our in-call messages, you can find our contact information, Humura Therapy and Keza Psychology Center. I would like Mr. Ziraba to give us his closing remarks, and maybe Mr. Anton as well will give us that before we close the meeting.
Can I first give like a small feedback on something? Just 1 minute.
Yes, sure.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Thompson. I agree with Madam, was it Maureen Kahima? Okay. I don't disagree with many things, but where I disagree with her is this. She made a statement that government can do whatever they want and not become accountable. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the product of our education, because we didn't put that within themselves, self-audit, whereby you as an employee of government, doesn't mean you've made it in the world. You understand? All you have to know is that who are you serving? You're not serving the government, you're serving the people, because that's how the government gets into power, because that's why they call it government of the people, for the people. But why I'm complaining about it is that we cannot just accept that completing an education is a success. No, we need to know. Otherwise, what's the purpose of education? The purpose of education is to produce active members of society that can contribute to the development and improving of lives of Ugandans. So if you are maintaining an education system based on just producing numbers of students, that's why you have people who are frustrated going to Dubai like that, just on the streets. You know how many Ugandans are there in Biyumbas without, they call them Biyumba, I don't know, without jobs. That's what I'm saying. They say, I would rather die in this foreign country than coming back to Uganda and do these small chakara jobs. So what I'm saying, that is a bad mentality, and we need to audit it. You understand? So I don't say that government has done all it has done is bad. No, all I'm saying is that it's not enough, and it is actually when you look at, let's look at what you're saying. Students are completing. 90% of the students that are completing cannot write their own theses. 90%, at least in my faculty. I know most people do copy and paste. Well, that's where the other thing I told you, the ambition. But in the ambition, what you're building the simple three things that I talked about: learning how to speak, learning how to read, and learning how to think. Because when you're speaking, you're thinking. And you cannot think about something you've not read. That means you cannot accumulate knowledge. You understand? Let's put the center focused on that. If they are going to be nurses, let nurses read as much as they can about their profession, and they will be active members of society and contribute well. But because we want to like brainwash or dry wash something like very quick, yeah, they are completing. We are producing 200 students per year. No, 200 students going to do what? You understand? How are they contributing to the development of their own lives and the country? Well, you have 200,000 students going out every year and still going through the same way because they are not well mentally prepared and they are not equipped for that. That's what I want to say on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anthony, for your input. And I see you're quite passionate about Uganda as a nation and where we are.
Me, I want to be an activist for the right education for Ugandans. It's not that, because how about when I look at my village, there's some families I ask myself, Lord, how will these people like make it like in terms of like reach universities and all of that? So then if the system that is there is not working for my neighbor who's not well, then I don't need that system because I cannot be comfortable when my neighbor has spent 2 nights without eating. That means any one day he will wake up and cut my throat because I have food, maybe he doesn't have food. Yet the trick is simple: grow your own food. You know, you're not safe.
We hope not, Mr. Anthony. We hope your throat will not
Yes,
be
that's what I'm
slit on
saying.
that.
We are not safe. If you are there, you are like, my kids are educated, your neighbors are not. No, one day your neighbor will be like, where do you get the money? You know, that's how the country is turning into turmoil. So, sorry, Thompson, you can take over.
Now, before he does, I would also, since you have been exposed to more sophisticated education systems, I hope you will be able to appropriately incorporate the African culture into the system that you have been taught of.
Exactly.
Such that we can have a result-oriented career guidance curriculum.
That's why I see myself as Ugandan. You know.
Ugandan.
Yes.
And please do turn to Uganda soon, such that we can.
Very soon, I'll let you know.
We can have this incorporated as soon as possible.
Okay.
And you might have to worry when you stand on a podium and try to educate us on how this is what the stereotype, because this is purely fun.
Like
when you stand on a podium and your hair is dreadlocks like that, I assure you most of our old system will be switched off immediately.
That's no. That's exactly that shows you that there's a very big problem. I don't have a problem with hair, you understand? And to me, since I was a kid, my mother never minded about the hair. What she minded about was, what they call whereby you are scamming people, you are telling lies, you understand? But in terms of like dressing and all of that, she saw that as fashion. And that's what she was like, I have no problem with you having dreads, but my problem is if you start doing bad acts. So it's more about the actions of individual than the appearances outside. You understand?
All right.
That's what shift the debates on that.
All right. Thank you so much for that input, Mr. Anthony. Mr. Zilava Thompson, rather, over to you. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and the previous speakers. I also agree that in Uganda, we don't have careers, and allow me to add my voice and say that the success of the career guidance depends on the government. The government has a very, very big role to play in ensuring that we have a proper career guidance and then proper careers. I want to end with this scenario. Government, after realizing the weaknesses of the old curriculum and shifting to the new curriculum, a Chinese-based, instead of first preparing itself, it rushed to declare a change. Teachers were not oriented and equipped with knowledge about the new curriculum. Books were not even published, but it declared the new curriculum. And only 3 teachers per school were first trained and told the 3 teachers to go and train the rest of the staff. As we speak, some schools received books for the new curriculum, others are still waiting. You can imagine that. So in my conclusion, government has a very, very big role to play for career guidance to have meaning, and the impact of the career guidance on the future of school-going children is going to be determined by the government. It has a very, very big role to play. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zilava Thompson. Unfortunately, today our other moderator was unable to join us for technical reasons, but I would like to thank everyone that has been a part of this very mind-triggering, mind-awakening dialogue. Everything I see is being pointed towards the people in authority to enforce the change that they need to see happen, or the people in authority. I wonder why it's so easy to implement things like all border cyclists must have reflector jackets on, and within a period of a week, the entire Uganda has that. But when it comes to telling educated people to do a certain thing, it seems to be even much harder, or to implement. Or so I don't really understand. I remember one minister for education, as we close, mentioned that please don't send your children to school without food flasks. When their food gets cold, they will become sick. And I listened to that statement, and I was lost for words. I was in shock. I said, this is a person who is in a position of leadership. She's well aware that some schools are not even well stocked when it comes to the material that is necessary to educate children. And your worry is about food flasks. Teachers are not getting sufficient salary or pay for the services that they so passionately extend to the nation. And your worry is about food flasks. You're literally telling us that the foundation is off, but if we build the top very well, the building might stand. So it's unfortunate, in a sense. It is sorry, but what to do? It's our nation. If we do not stand up as youth, if we do not advocate like Mr. Anthony said, if we do not become impassioned, if we do not become passionate, if we do not become, what's the word? If we do not become self-appointed, in a different sense, activists.
No, it is like become responsible. If we do not take
responsible in a way.
Yes.
If we do not take up arms and take over,
it's not actually taking over. It is you doing your job that you're supposed to do as an individual, so active member of society. You understand? It is your society. Yes.
And I'm talking about intellectual arms, not any other arms that you might be thinking.
Exactly. and how do you take up arms? You educate yourself. You really have to educate yourself. And how do you educate yourself? You learn how to read. Even if you have bad reading habits, you can start by 1 page per week, and by just you have to keep the consistency.
Let's allow Mr. Manzi to say something, and then we close. Mr. Manzi, please. I see your hand up.
Thank you very much to members, all protocol observed. I was actually following ardently, and I thank everyone for their thoughtful submissions. Maybe I was going to share something that also Mr. Zira Thompson has highlighted about, as well as Madam Maureen Kahima, about the new curriculum. And I'm still in shock that we did not even get a sample cluster, just like proper research is done, and subject some kids to this kind of curriculum that we're testing, and then get the results. And then we can do an evaluation from that. Now we have the entire nation subjected to something we don't know about the outcome. We have tested the depth of water using 2 legs. We don't know what is coming out of there. And it's just a point of worry. I had it and I was in shock. I was like, okay, it got to my mind that we're actually doing this. We're getting a whole nation of young people, subjecting it to a curriculum that we don't know whether it will work or not. And then we'll have to evaluate later in life whether it was effective or not. So who takes the responsibility of such a big mistake? What if these things don't work out? What if this curriculum does not work out to be good? Just like we heard from the educationist in the house, teachers were not oriented about this curriculum. Nothing, books were not published. Nothing is there. There was no readiness. So we've tested the depth of water using both legs and left it for God to have mercy on us. So that's how critical these issues are for dialogue, and that's why we're coming through for members who are here as Uganda Youth Dialogues, that we want to raise a critical number of youth that can give us a better perspective of how they want things to work in their country, of how we can have reforms in systems and see that things work out to benefit this country. We cannot really be in such a system for long. I think we will not have put our brick towards the construction of this country. We need to stand out and speak. We need to dialogue. This is one of the ways we can share our opinion through people, I mean to everyone out there. So I encourage you to always come through on these dialogues every Friday, discuss with us, let us all contribute. Let us not just be listeners. Let's contribute and share ideas. Let us feel free on this platform. I think it would be a very, very good platform for us to educate ourselves and educate others and also learn from one another. I thank you very much. My name is Manzi. I'm the founder of Kaiser Psychology Center, and I'm always pleased to have you around. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Manzi for that input. I would like to request that our meeting host close the meeting officially. We usually have our post-meeting sessions where we openly exchange ideas, but now everyone can leave at will. I thank you so much for being a part of today's meeting, today's dialogue. Bye and God bless you.